I wanted to show you this website that I recently learned about because it relates directly to what we had started doing earlier this semester when we were making the chart and looking at different TEKs related to this course and how they evolve over years from kindergarten all the way to fifth grade. And so I wanted to show you this website, show you how to use it so that if you would like to continue working on that chart for your own knowledge, then you can do that. And this will actually really help with that process. So go to TEKSguide.org. You'll notice here that it says it's in beta. That means it's not finished yet. They're still working on it, but what is available so far is out there for you to use. So right now, if you come over here to the subject that you're interested in, drop down menu, you only see English language arts and Spanish language arts right now. The other ones are coming, but they're just not up yet. So what you'll do is select English language arts and reading and then select a grade. I would go ahead and select kindergarten first just so that you can take a look at the way that the TEKs are aligned, and I'll walk you through that process. So if you select kindergarten, then it gives you all of the TEKs for kindergarten. Now, what I would suggest that you do is go ahead and narrow down by a strand. So for our class, for Reading 360, it makes a lot of sense to go with the develop and sustaining foundational language skills because that's really what the word study is all about. So once you do that, you see that it narrows down the TEKs a little bit. And so you would just want to select one of the TEKs from the kindergarten one. I would suggest, I'm going to pick a few different ones, but we're going to start with identifying syllables and spoken words. And it brings you to a new page. And what you see here is it gives you the exact number for the TEKs, okay? And then it gives you a little bit of information about, student expectations. What you'll notice also is that you can hover at any point over one of the blue linked words. If you can't remember exactly what that term is, just hover over it and it will give you a definition. Okay, so you'll see that. I would also suggest go ahead and watch these little videos. They're about 2 minutes a piece, real straightforward, but they give some pretty bare bones, direct information that you might find helpful. So we see here that each time we go into a TEKS, it gives us the knowledge and skills statement. And then it gives us some examples. And so we can see, like, what does this mean? What does it mean if this student is able to do these things? So here are some examples that they gave about being able to identify syllables in given words. Then you'll see other drop-down areas. So right here we have a glossary. So again, if there's a word, a term that you are not familiar with or you can't remember what it means, then it gives you the glossary that goes with that particular TEKS. And then you will find where there's supporting information. So this pulls back from the old set of TEKS, how it relates back to what the TEKS used to be versus what they are now in the updated versions. And then you'll see here where there's some research that supports that particular TEKS. And I really like that they give you a little summary. That way you don't have to read the entire research article if you don't want to, but you can basically get the synopsis right there. Okay, so that is all under this overview tab. So then what I would like for you to try to do is go into the alignments tab, because this is going to show you that vertical alignment, meaning what it looks like from one grade level to the next on the same topic. So we'll see right here, this is the one that we selected, demonstrate phonological awareness by identifying syllables and spoken words. We know that this is how we read the TEKS. It's English language arts. The K is for kinder, 2 is for that particular strand, and TEKS, and then the sub-TEKS right there. So that is what it is for kinder. we can move down here and look at it for first grade. So we see that it's ELAR or ELA, English Language Arts. First grade, that first number indicates the grade level. So that's the first grade, and then we have the second grade. So we see that when we go from kinder to first grade, that in kindergarten it's identifying syllables and spoken words, but then when we move to first grade, what we're asking them to be able to do is to distinguish between long and short vowel sounds within one syllable words. So we want them to be able to determine how many syllables are in a word, and then the next year be able to look at those one syllable words and distinguish between long and short vowels. Then when they go into second grade, we want them to be able to distinguish between long and short vowels in one syllable and multi-syllable words. So you can see that we're taking it one step further, not just looking at one syllable words, but syllables with more than one. Words with more than one syllable. Okay, and finally we have this resources tab. Right now, like I said, they're still developing the website. So right now they don't have resources right here and for those student expectations, but they do have some dyslexia resources, which is really, really important. And so they have some resources here that I would encourage you to click on and take a look at. And then down here, this is instructional materials. So these are different materials that different school districts might adopt as part of their reading program. And so what you are able to do then is go down and find what a particular school district is using, and then see how it connects or aligns with the TEKS and the ALPS. So you can go all the way down through those. Okay, so I'd like for us to go back to the original page again, and we're back here with still in the developing and sustaining foundational language skills. This time I want to look at a different one. So let's go down to spelling words with VC, CVC, and CCVC. Now, one of the things I want you to take a look at is how this is a kindergarten TEKS, and one of the things I want you to look at in looking at the vertical alignment is also kind of comparing it with the spelling stages that are given to us with our textbook. That one chart I gave you back in the first week of class that showed the different stages and the approximate age ranges and approximate grade levels to go with each stage, and just take a critical look at that and see what the authors of our textbook, those researchers, have said about what's developmentally appropriate and what our TEKS are saying. So these are kindergarten TEKS. We are saying that kindergartners, we want them to be able to spell words with vowel consonant, consonant vowel consonant, and consonant consonant vowel consonant. That means using blends and digraphs into kindergarten is a TEK. Here is our supporting glossary again. And then here is some research again. You can take a look at that. So then if we look at the alignment, we see that as we go from kindergarten to first grade, we are now asking them in first grade to spell words with closed syllables. Remember, that means that it is a short vowel with a consonant at the end. So we're talking about words like cat or log, or open syllables, which could be like bee, B-E-E, or go, G-O. We would also have our vowel consonant E. So first grade, we're already putting in one of our long vowel spelling patterns. Vowel teams, meaning our E-E, E-A for a long E sound, and R controlled syllables. So we're already going to have those R controlled vowels. This is in first grade that this is introduced. And then as we move from first grade to second grade, we see we're still doing one syllable with closed syllable, which is what we did in first grade, but now we're bringing in the multisyllabic words. So that means like our word basket. Basket has a closed syllable at the beginning, and then looking at the open syllables, so like tiger, tiger. The tie is an open syllable. Continuing with our vowel consonant E, continuing with our vowel teams, meaning our E, OA, UI, all of those long vowel spelling patterns. Bringing in our digraphs. Now we have added our diphthongs. So in second grade, we're adding the oi, oi, and ow, ow, continuing with the R controlled, and the final stable syllables. Okay, so as we move from second to third grade, then all of that stays the same, except we're really focusing more on multisyllabic words. We, feel like, at this point they should have the one syllable words mastered, and so the focus is really on multisyllabic words. And then as we move from third to fourth grade, we see that it really, we continue on with that. So really we are continuing with that. Third and fourth grade, and then fifth grade, all essentially have the same skills and concepts. But what we find is that we just keep working on it, and we keep working and keep working on it, because as we talked about a lot in class, is that it takes a lot of exposure and practice with these different patterns for them to really get it down. And have that mastery. So we see that really continue through all three of those grade levels. And then again, we see our resources. Here's some dyslexia resources that are specific to what we looked at right there with spelling with these different patterns. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more, and then you can go and look at the rest of them on your own. But I wanted to look at one that was really specific to vocabulary, and look at how it changes over time. So with our vocabulary, when we start in kindergarten, really has to do with actions, directions, positions, sequences, and then various categories. So that is what our vocabulary centers around. And so if you look at it right here, demonstrating their proficiency, these are the different things that we're looking at. Okay, over, under, being able to give directions, left, right, all of those kinds of vocabulary development is what we're looking at there. And then we have a little bit of supporting information here as well. Okay, so then alignment. I think this one's really interesting because you can see how it really continues grade level by grade level. Okay, so we start with the one that we talked about here in kindergarten with the directions and positions and actions. Then we move to first grade, which is continuing with those, but being able to name different positions, and you can see different, if you click here, you can see different examples that go with that. Moving into second grade, it's antonyms, synonyms, idioms, and homographs. Continuing on into third grade, except for we add the homophones in there. And then fourth grade, really looking at the study of those homophones. So why is it spelled the way it's spelled? When do we use each version within the context of different sentences for different meanings? And then fifth grade, it goes into the meanings of adages and puns. And so we can see here that we're looking at identifying and using in the first couple of grades. Then we go to identify, use, and explain the meaning of. And then that's when we bring that layer of meaning in the morphology to all of those other grade levels. And then finally, we have some resources here. They don't have all of those up yet, but they do show here where the different reading adoptions align with the TEKS. So I'd like for you to just take a look at some of those. If you want to continue working on that chart, you're more than welcome to. That's not going to be a grade since we weren't able to work on it together in class, but it's definitely worth your while to go through and take a look at the vertical alignment and see how each year builds upon the year before it so that we can continue with that word study across the grade levels.